What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about some really difficult stuff, usually different from what I usually post, which is happy stuff. It's why my dad called me a failure and called me, he said that I was a failure and there's a reason why I think the family favors my brother, and that I always cause problems, and I have really no achievements. I haven't done anything with my life. He said that to me when I was 15, 16. So yeah, it was difficult, man. I was 15, going on 16 when he said that stuff to me. In the grand scheme of things, it's not too far along because he said it to me when I was 15, and when I was 17, I was in the military. So, yeah. Well, guys, this is my story. Your story may be different, but this one is mine. So let's get into it, guys. I'm gonna go here and just say that I was not a good kid growing up. I did cause problems. I understand that I did a lot of stuff that hurt my own chances at life. And, but you know, could I change those things to where I'm at now in São Paulo and living alone in Brazil? I wouldn't, because like I wouldn't have met the people I've met in my life if I didn't do that. And I wouldn't have had these same experiences that built the person that I am now. So yeah, life is just bittersweet, guys. And, you know, I will use all the pain I have with my father to put it in the gym, put it in writing. And I'll tell you guys how I grew up and how I handled after what he said that. And basically, there's going to be a good message in this video, but it's going to come at the end and it's going to go through a lot of bad stuff first. That's kind of how life is, right? So let's go on. So my story with my dad is very bittersweet. You know, my dad came from a broken family, grew up in New York City, and was born in Virginia. And my dad basically was homeless after his mom and sort of kicked him out from the house, not officially, but he really couldn't go back without being abused by her and her boyfriends. So yeah, I mean, he had a terrible upbringing, which came back to haunt me. So yeah, it's how it works, guys. I mean, it's really, really difficult to become an angel when you come from hell. Let's be honest. So my dad had a horrible childhood and horrible teenage years and was around his side of the family, which is mostly horrible. There's some amazing people in my dad's family, but there ain't almost no saints, you know, the opposite of them, really. Which is a whole nother topic that I can talk about in privately to my own family. Well, let's continue with the video. Why am I getting distracted? So my dad, let's go back to serious mode. My dad is, you know, if you thought the bittersweet emotion, that's how my dad really is as a person. He's just bittersweet. There's so many sweet things and there's so many bitter things about my dad that I can't get over. One of the things I can't get over is that people act like my dad was an angel and treat me badly, actually, if I say anything negative towards that, because he wasn't an angel to me. And I have a whole story of abuse, verbally and physically, throughout my whole life with him until he passed away. So I'm just gonna go talk about it, man. I'm gonna really get into the depths of this. No one really does this on YouTube, and I'm gonna do it. So yeah, guys, when I was a younger kid, you know, I got hit. I had the belt hit on me. My dad never believed me. I'll tell you guys one story that really hurt me as a kid. There was this kid who made up a fact that I beat him up at a park, okay? And then his sister came over and told my dad that, and my family, that I beat this kid up. My dad didn't believe me. I tried to tell him I didn't. And I was in a beanbag, and he didn't really allow me to go in video games. He would just like lock me basically in a room without anything a lot. My mom and dad did this. And he came up and started hitting me with the belt when I was in this sleeping bag. And yeah, I got hit. He grounded me for a month. I couldn't leave the house. And you know, within the second or third day of being grounded, he called one of the neighbors and found out that it didn't happen. So yeah, my dad did not trust me. He called me a liar all the time, and my mom did too. And yeah, that was really horrifying as a kid, man. It sucked. It's just that memory is I really stuffed that one back. You know, another story. The really bad ones I won't talk about because I just can't. Okay, and I don't want to really destroy my dad's reputation with my mom because my mom doesn't even know the stuff that he did. Guys, it was just hitting, by the way. It was just hitting and stuff. You know, another time, I was in this pool party of my friend's house, and my dad thought I was like severely mentally deficient. And, you know, I flipped over the neighbor's kid. He had like a swimming floaty, right? And my dad said, don't, you know, play with the neighbor's kid anymore. But I was friends with this neighbor's kid, and I flipped him over, and my dad got really angry. And while I was getting out of the pool, he grabbed me by my hair, and I got out of the pool in front of everyone. I didn't want to leave, so he dragged me by like my skin, or he just like dragged me from the pool area into the house and told me to put on my shoes. And he wouldn't even let me put on my socks. And I had to go home, and he stripped down my bedroom and took away my blankets, and he made me try to sleep on this mattress, man. Yeah, my childhood sucked. I hated my childhood. This is like going into some memories that I really do not want to say to you guys, but this will help me and help you get over the stuff that you had to go through. You know, my dad wouldn't let me cry. If I was a kid, I really couldn't cry. And yeah, you know, if I was crying about something that happened between me and him, I would be in my bedroom and I'd be crying. He would tell me to shut up, man. And so, yeah, it's terrible. My dad would cuss on calls, these conference calls, and I would cuss back when I was 5. I learned the word like SOB, you know, fueled the, you know, in Portuguese, and I said that at a playground, and I got in trouble, and they said, who told you that word? And I was like, my dad. I learned that from my dad because he was screaming this on the phone, and yeah, I got in. My mom said he would never say that. My dad said he never says that. And I got in trouble for knowing a word that I shouldn't have known. And so it was just stuff like this where my parents never trusted me. And yeah, my dad called me a liar all the time. So even now, you know, my own mom might talk to me, and she might tell me that this never happened. But I know it did. I was there, and it was, like, I know it 100% happened. Okay. So yeah, I was abused when I was a kid. I don't like saying that, but it is the truth, okay? It wasn't all the time. It was not every day. It was maybe sometimes once in 2 months, once in 3 months, but the damage lasts, man. You know, I know some kids that were getting abused every single day by their parents, and I wasn't one of those kids, okay? My parents were mostly fair to me. But no, when I was around 10 or 11, we moved to the desert, and there was a lot less of him being a complete terrible person to me after that. But I was also completely isolated from friends and like really family. We were just living in the desert. And you know, what was there for me to do? I mean, I didn't have people there my age. So what I did is I got into video games, I got into history, I got into hiking in the wilderness, the desert behind me. And so yeah, man, that was the things I got into, and I was going through immense pain as a kid. I didn't even realize because my mom and dad, my dad especially, wouldn't really let me express that, if that makes sense. And there was a couple of times where I got in some heated arguments with my mom and dad, and my dad would just tell me, like, call Child Protective Services when I would threaten to do it. And like one time I started to call them, and I told them I was calling them, and my dad started screaming and wanted to tear the door down. And I know how horrible my dad sounds like this, and he really wasn't that all the time. Like I said, it was just in those moments he would just lose his mind, dude. Yeah, so let's go on. Sorry. Um, you know, um, this feels crazy to talk about, really, you guys. I'm not gonna edit these moments of silence out because this video I have to make. This video will show that I'm just a human, guys. Just like you, across this video, you're just like me. You really are. If you were born and saw and did the things I did, you would just be like me as well. We're not different, okay? So let's continue. And so, my childhood sounds like it was terrible, but at the same time, like my parents were, people would come to my house and think my parents were godly because they would have this list. It was called the Coker Rules, and they had like a list of like 50 things that me and my brother couldn't do, and if we swore, we would have to pay in a jar. And my mom was really strict about food access, and I couldn't have a lot of sugar or candy or chips or anything like this, man. My mom was a health freak, and it's insane because when I was a kid, I thought that all kids were like that, But it was just my mom, and that's actually one of the things that I really respect about my mom is that she did that, because it's a great decision, because I didn't grow up to be fat. Who wants to be fat? No one. I said it. Who wants to be fat? No one. No one wants to be fat. So, thank you, Mom. But my parents were really strict, and there was like not even one time I broke out of the house to meet friends or do something, because there was no one around me, really, my age. So anyways, I'm totally off topic right now, because I really like to block out some of the bad stuff in my life and just talk about the positive, and I need to stop doing that. Let me continue. So yeah, my grades were terrible in school. They were awful. I just kind of blamed it on myself, but now I realize because my grades were never stable because I was not stable. My home life wasn't stable, man. I didn't have stable friends or anything, I just felt super alone, and I kind of was because I was in the desert and I had the internet, but you know what I would be watching? I would be watching World of Tanks. I would be watching PewDiePie, or I would be watching the History Channel or some things, and literally like thinking about my life. When I was 12 years old, guys, I was just constantly alone, just thinking about things, and I started to have like a feeling that I was going to do something great in my life, and I want to run for president. That's my life goal, and I had that since I was like 12, man. I know that's going to be against all the odds, and seeing how my childhood was not the best, it would be a great thing to do, man. It would be a pretty good accomplishment, I would say. But I'm gonna try to not block this out of my head, guys. I had a lot of great memories with my dad. We would go to Costco together, and I would ride in the truck with him, and he would just talk to me about things. It was never really about girls or any of that stuff, because I never was focused on women, because there was simply zero around me. And like even in school, man, I wasn't popular among the ladies like at all. And so it was just about history and politics, man. That was what I talked about. And I know how weird that sounds, how obvious that sounds now, but when I was 12 and 11 and stuff, like, kids just did not talk about politics, but I was, man. I remember being like 11, discussing China with my dad, and telling that my dad, back when I was like 12 or 11, I was like, Dad, China's gonna be #1 country in the world. And so my dad would just like kind of write that off. But even then I saw like China's growth because I was watching, the news, and that's my escapism, was the news and politics and these things. But yeah, that's a whole nother topic. But my dad was a very intelligent guy, and when he was not working, and if he was with us, when he would be driving the car, he would be like moving his mouth and using his hands like this, and he was basically visualizing a business deal, because my dad was a business guy and he sold things, packages of things, and so my dad was that kind of person, man. He was constantly like, I'm dodging the story about his death. So yeah, my dad was really good at his job, and he got invited to a trip, and you know, the healthcare system, and I'm just gonna say here on in is alleged, because I do not want lawsuits. So it is alleged, guys. Everything that here is alleged. It's all made up. No lawsuits, right? Let's go. Yeah, the healthcare system completely failed my dad. They forgot some key things, the arrogance of some of these doctors, man. My dad came back from this trip. They didn't think anything was wrong with him. You know, my all alleged, remember, my mom tried to tell the doctors that, hey, there was maybe this thing, and the doctors were completely arrogant. And my dad ended up getting really sick from something that should have been cured. And because the healthcare system in the United States is purely for profit, it's not about saving lives, it is about profiteering. My dad was failed, and allegedly failed, and he died a very, very, very young man at 46. But as he was passing away, I think he was just in a bad mood, man. Because one night, when my dad was sick, I had a nasty argument with him, when me and my dad almost exchanged fists in the kitchen. And I try to block out this memory, but me and him were like about to fight, like hit each other and, you know, go at it, man, because that's what he went through. Because he fought his own stepdad, man. So I thought that was just normal for him. And I remember, man, cowering, because I was, 15, 16, and my dad was much bigger, and he was, 46 or something like that. And so, I cowered. I went upstairs, and I punched the window, man. The window shattered in my hand, and I still have like scars in my right hand because I punched the window. And my mom and dad didn't even really feel bad for me at that moment. They just kind of got mad at me for breaking the window. I'm just realizing how messed up this sounds and how normal this was for me when I was growing up, man. Anyways, maybe, I don't know, days or weeks after that almost fight in the kitchen, my dad, maybe that night, I don't really remember. I think it was that night. Later that night, it was maybe a Saturday or Sunday. My dad comes in the room, and he tells me how much of a problem I am. I think this was because I broke that window. Yeah, I think if I put this together, I think it was because of that window. And told me that, because I always would say that my mom and dad favor my brother. And he was like, there's a reason why they think that, why you think that, and that's because you cause all these problems. And I started crying, man. There was this like table, and I was underneath the table and I was playing with Legos. 15 sounds a little cringe, I know, but that was the kid I was, man. I was playing with Legos underneath the table, and he came in and said that. And I told him, started screaming at him to leave and to get the F out, I think something like that, and that didn't make him any happy. And so, that was the last words, man. A couple of other things that he said, I'm trying to think. I hadn't done anything with my life that I just caused problems. It made me feel hollow, it made me feel horrible, and man, he stayed in the rest of the bed that day, and I think I stayed up that night on Steam, playing like World of Tanks, until like 4 a.m. And at 4 a.m., my mom tells me that she's gonna take him to the hospital. And I didn't even go in the car with her. I didn't even, it just like, I went right back to gaming, man. And I'll tell you guys something that I had a thought before, a couple weeks before he got sick. And my thought, man, I was like, how much easier would my life be without my dad? That thought literally came through my head, and I was like, kind of like praying that he would just disappear out of my life. And I felt immense guilt when he got sick and passed away, man. Immense guilt, bro. And like I kind of blame myself for that, because it was almost like I kind of like wanted him to disappear, man, because it was so hard, man. It was not easy stuff, bro. My dad, he was in the hospital. About 3 days into the hospital, I saw him the first time, or the day after or something. And I remember, my dad always called me dramatic and stuff. And so when he was sick, I thought it was being dramatic to think that he could pass away, because I was so sitting next to him. And by the way, when my dad was in the hospital for the week he was unconscious, like almost like a coma, right? So they said he can hear us. And so while I was sitting next to him, I apologized to him, man. And I cried and I apologized to my father, and I told him, sorry for being a bad son. And I saw the machines go up my dad's nose, and the things go in my dad's arms, and it was like this big, strong man, his life was being taken away from him. And that made me break down so hard. And how life is so precious. It can easily be taken away. And seeing like all these wires go through his nose and his ears and his skin, and it was just insane seeing your father like that, man. And I apologized, I think on like a Wednesday. I had some school friends at the time, and I called them in the hallway of like the emergency exit. So there's emergency exit stairs, so it would echo, and I was calling my friends, man. I remember crying and yelping and it traveling down the stairs. And my friends all told me it'll be fine, and they said I was being dramatic, basically, that my dad was going to be completely okay. I had family members literally tell me that Jesus came to them in a dream, or God, and said that my dad would be fully fine, which is precisely the reason why I'm not a Christian, because it was, not precisely the reason, but one of the reasons why they said that. And my friends I had that were in school with me, they stopped being friends with me after my dad passed. I'm not even kidding. And that was when I realized how fickle people really are, man. I had one friend, two friends actually. One was someone who had mental deficiencies that I stuck with through everything, and him being bullied, and he was friends with me. And another friend, and I'll just say their names, Riley and Paul. And Paul, man, he stuck with me. And he was someone I never even met. He was someone I met online, by the way, playing Hearts of Iron 4. And so, this guy stuck with me, and he was like the only guy that stuck with me. And I had mostly female friends because as a kid I was very insecure, and guys did not want to be friends with me. And it was girls that I was friends with, and they stopped being friends with me, bro. They told, what they told me? I still remember this. They said, we're gonna give you space, basically. And I didn't get invited to anything, and I had some people that sympathy hanged out with me, but it was just once. That was it, man. So, yeah. Let's go back to my dad in the hospital. I apologize for being a bad son to my dad. And one night I hanged out with this group of people that were like orphans, and we went to a mall. We were at the mall, and with like 15 of the orphan family, because the family, it was like 26 people, and we were with 15 of them or something like that. And that childhood friend's dad, the kid that I pulled out of the pool. Well, I flipped over him in the pool. My dad pulled me up by my hair. That kid, his dad came to the mall and told me that my dad had, I think, a heart attack in the hospital. That's when I realized that this man's probably not making it. And he had it was a heart attack and a stroke. So we started to paint his hand, man. We painted his hand purple, and I think we pushed it until it's like clay. Man, bro, it is so traumatic what I'm talking about. Like, you're a kid, and you're seeing your dad in the hospital, fine 1 week, next week almost gone, and you're painting his hand and putting on clay. That's intense. So that's what I did. I have the picture somewhere on Instagram. I am wearing a Longhorns. I was a Longhorns fan for college football, by the way. I was wearing a Longhorns shirt, man, or long sleeve shirt when I did that. I just have like blank emotion doing that, I remember. So my iPhone ran out of battery. I'm not gonna try to cry, guys. I might. This video is art, in my opinion, because this is reality. This is real stuff I'm talking about. Unfiltered. I'm not gonna edit this video. It will just be video. That's it. I'm gonna put Portuguese subtitles and subtitles below as I'm speaking. Anyways, let's go on. So, I'm painting his hand with my brother, and my dad is laying there. The healthcare system did not help my dad, allegedly, remember? And they made some mistakes. And so he moved into a different hospital after that, like Wednesday night that we painted his hands. I think it was the day after. And he stayed at this new hospital called Mayo Clinic. It was a really expensive hospital, which is, again, why I'm totally against the American healthcare system, is because you will get better care with better money. And that is sad because, someone's life is depending on their income. And it's messed up that the world is like that. But yeah, we didn't want to put him in that hospital at first because I think we just didn't have the money. It was so expensive for him to be there. He was supposed to get a surgery on a Saturday or Sunday, a brain surgery or something, but, that Friday or something, my mom said if Dad were to live, he would be completely disabled. I'm talking 40 IQ. He would not even speak English, I think. He would just be moaning and grunting. And I know how funny that sounds to some of you. And I kind of actually laugh about that in a messed up way, in a messed up humor, because my dad would have just been like prehistoric. Okay. See, my dark humor is very dark, and I'm joking about this, but guys, it hurts so much I have to joke. You understand dark humor now, guys? You understand dark humor because when you go through something like that and you're told, hey, if your dad survives, he will be prehistoric, you'd be completely disabled and he would have like half of his body not work. And the other thing is this, if he passes away permanently. So I can't imagine what my mom went through in that moment, but oh yeah, sorry. I was at the mall and my dad's friend picks us up. Sorry, I went through that story, my bad. So see how my brain is, this stuff, man, I'm not going to edit this out. This stuff is just difficult to talk about, and my brain just goes places because I don't want to think about it directly. So maybe on a Saturday night or a Sunday night, it was a Saturday morning, actually. No, it was Sunday. It was Sunday morning. Excuse me. A Sunday morning, one of the neighbors that was friends with my mom picks us up from the house, man. And I called my aunt, I called my mom. I started rapidly calling my family members, and they weren't answering the phone. The hospital is around 45 minutes away, and I will remember that car ride for the rest of my life. It was silent, and me and my brother kind of knew something happened. And when you arrive to the hospital, and my mom is not responding to her phone still, so we walk in to the Mayo Clinic, and they open this garage door. We go down the hallway, they turn left, and my family's in the room. In the hospital, just in this room. That was one of the most depressing moments of my life, and just a horrible moment, man. I'm exploring a lot of pain right now, guys, but I know this will help someone out there. I know someone probably just lost their mom. If this video might do well, someone probably lost their mom or something, or their dad or their best friend, and will somehow find comfort in this video, I hope. And yeah, I've never seen my grandpa cry. I think I've seen him once. He's a stubborn old bastard. He's passed away a couple of months ago, but he was crying, man. And I didn't cry. I didn't cry for maybe 20 minutes. I don't know what was with me at the time, but I came over to comfort my mom and my brother, and I didn't cry. And people told me in that moment when I wasn't crying, they said, "You're the man of the house now." And that was tough, man. I was like 15 being told I was the man of the house, and they told me in that moment that I have to help my brother grow up. It's so much responsibility, man. And I know that, and I realized, I think in that moment, that was the last time I spoke to my dad, was those words. And that was just horrifying. That was horrifying, man. That was the last moment I had with my father. My grandma told me, she said, "It's okay to cry, Vox," and my grandpa too, something like that, and I started crying. And I remember that hospital being so respectful still that I asked if I could eat cookies at the table while I was crying. And those cookies tasted damn good, by the way. See, we're always trying to find the positive in something, guys. So after I had those delicious cookies, I think they had cheese as well. It was pretty good cheese. So after they had that food, we had like these 2 teddy bears that my mom brought because they were made out of the shirts of my dad's dad. And so we brought them, and we came over to see the hospital room and my dad had passed away in. And I remember seeing his body, and just like, the moment kind of hitting, bro. I remember looking out, and it was like the corner of the hospital out the window, and just thinking, this really just happened to me. My dad just really fucking passed away. Like, that really happened. He was cold, man, and his hands had gotten big, so they had like covered up his feet and his hands or something. I guess when you pass away, your extremities get really, really big. That's what she said. Pause. The worst thing about this is that I felt relief and also hopelessness. I don't know how to explain it, but because I've been abused by my dad, the feelings weren't just all sadness, man. Some of it was like, I'll never have to go through something like that again. I mean, it sucks to say, but that's what I felt. You know, we went home later that night. My mom basically locked herself in her room for like 2 weeks straight, and I thought she was gonna end her life. I didn't think that, you know, I thought I was about to lose my mom as well. My brother wouldn't leave his room, and it was just me, man. In that first 2 weeks, it was just me. We ate, but we ate processed food because neighbors came and got us food and stuff, man. It was just so difficult, man. And I think that if my dad did survive, I think my dad would have had a great relationship with me now. But I certainly wouldn't have come to Brazil and have had the relationships in my life that I've had with things, and I would have probably not joined the military at 17. And this is just my life story, guys, and this is not yours, this is mine, and you know, yours may be worse, way worse than mine, and I don't want you to think that I'm coming out here to get your sympathy and your money. You know, I'm just coming out here to tell my story and to show that, hey, you know, I'm human as well, and the guy that makes these videos isn't this guy that's been super privileged. I know some people think out here that my life has just been super easy. I mean, I would say it's easier than 99% of history, which 99% of history sounds a lot worse than it is now. Now seems pretty amazing compared to what it was. But I'm just showing my story. And yeah, life is bittersweet, man, and that goes with nearly everything in life. It's gonna be bittersweet. You're gonna have a lot of ups and downs, and you just gotta roll with what life gives you. You don't have control over someone. You don't have control over people. I take my dad everywhere and I spread his ashes. But I'm not gonna tell everyone my dad was a perfect person. Okay? I love my dad. There's also things I didn't love about him. You know? And that's hurt my friendships, my relationships. These things have been damaged because of how I was when I was a kid, man. That's just the bottom line damn truth. I'm glad I didn't cry through that, because I don't want that on camera. I almost got close I don't know if you guys can see, but I almost got close a couple of times. The bottom line version of this is, if you watch this whole video, I'm proud of you. Because most people will watch a video for 2-3 minutes and like just leave because they don't have a good attention span. But I think that you'll probably learn something from this video, and I think maybe you've written something down in your head and stuff. But the last thing I gotta say is, man, is people are not gonna be good to you because you're good to them. But be good, okay? People say I'm a really nice person, and that's what I want to be known as. I don't want to be known as a bad boy, as a player, as a like a hard ass, cool fucking guy. I want to be known as nice, and I want to be known as someone that provides society something other than their usual. And that not everything that looks a way is the way. And here's an example you can maybe see. When you see someone that's super happy and they ended up deleting themselves, you said, man, they look so happy, how could they do this? Well, that's how it is, man. Some people are going to doubt my stories, and I know that's going to happen, and I just know, man, because that's what people are. Because they're going to look at pictures of me when I was a kid, and they're going to think, oh, he never went through that. But, man, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know. And if it's hidden, you just don't find it out. Like, for example, guys, people really don't know what goes on in Russia or China as much as they do to the United States, because simply Russia and China do not let the media as freely open as in the United States. People from the United States have an easy communication for the rest of the world. China and Russia don't. So that's why you have a very different perception of Russia and China, because they just don't have as open media, you know. It's like a political comment, I guess. But my last thing is, guys, is that at the end of the day, my dad is a product of his environment. And yes, he was abusive. Yes, these things did happen. But my dad is just the way he is because of his environment. And the same thing you would be as well. And my goal in life is to literally change the environment that humans and people go through and make it better. And one of the most important things I want to do in life, man, is change how poor people can get to wealth, because that's what my dad fucking did. My dad went from nothing and died someone that had a bit of money. And you know, my mom and dad never gave me money growing up, and I still don't get money from my mom and dad unless it's like a present from a birthday or something. But I don't ever have to worry about being worried about my mom with money, because my dad he made enough for my mom to live off, you know. And you know, I'm thankful for my dad that I didn't grow up around violence and criminality in my life. I grew up in a desert. I grew up away from most kids my age, which is probably an amazing thing, because I spent more time on discovering history and literature and philosophy, and I wrote poems. I mean, who does that when they're a kid, man, anymore? I got a really good education. I went to a nice school until freshman year. So, I mean, I can't complain about everything, man. And like I said, this is just my story, and you might be different. At the end of the day, guys, we're always really easily able to just call someone out on their horrible behavior and just call them a horrible person. But like most of the time, man, they didn't grow up like that. They became that. Okay? Humans are like sponges, and we sponge to information. And like, for example, if you're told your whole life that you're a liar and that you're a piece of shit and that you suck, you're probably gonna think that up here. And if you're told that you're amazing and you're smart, you're probably gonna think it up there, and your brain's probably gonna like take that information and change it, man, and change it. It's probably why criminals go back to criminality, is because they're constantly told they're criminals. My opinion. But look, I'm 23, guys. I have a lot of life to live. 10 years maybe. I want kids, and I'm still growing myself. I didn't come here to just complain, guys. I came here to change things. I want to change the world, and I want you to do it with me. I want to do it together, okay? If the world got bad, it can become good. And the world is not that bad right now. It is much better than 100 years ago. It is much better than 80 years ago. The recent 100 years, guys, we've defeated fascism. It's almost all gone. How amazing is that? Communism, radical communism is gone. The communism from 100 years ago, from 90 years ago, 80, 90 years ago is gone, man. Isn't that so amazing that most radical ideologies have been eradicated in the last 100 years? That things are far more moderate in the world than they ever been. We have a future together. We as humans have a future together. And in my lifetime, the one thing I want to do is I want to unite the world and explore space. That is my goal, okay? And that might be not your goal. We can do this together, okay? Brazilians, Americans, Mexicans, Colombians, Spanish, Russians, Israelis, Palestinians, Saudis, Yemenis, Indians, Chinese, man, we're all human beings. And we're all products of our environment, okay? We're not much different from each other. I've traveled a lot of places, and I know that people are really not that far apart. Just different stories. I'll see you guys. I love you. Good night.